people. Here I again, Liza.
And Daria.
Hey guys, what's
up?
Hey peeps, we've actually been missing you for a long time and we hope you've been missing us as well. Today we have as usual some, as Liza says, a spicy topic, a hot one. We normally love something like this. So, and what is this? This is of course insurance system in Germany. Well, you know why we chose this topic. Actually, I think because it's a pretty controversial one, of course, among experts. Liza, do you agree?
Of course.
Why is it controversial? Tell me.
We observed how Germans are, obsessed with insurance, with different kind of insurance.
Any possible.
And insurance system in general. And
we have some questions, you know?
Yeah, we have a different lifestyle. I would say we have a different background, obviously. So we live like, nothing bad will happen, or if something bad will happen, we will figure it out. And Germans do believe in insurance system, and for sure insurance system is good here in Germany, and it also have many advantages, but also some disadvantages as every system. We decided to look deeper in this topic and to discuss why is it so, what is our opinion. Just a small disclaimer, as usual, we're not going, and it's not our wish to bash Germany or any insurance system. We're just open for some kind of spicy discussion.
We have some questions, we have some doubts, but also we've changed our minds as well. For Germans, maybe insurance is a solution to everything. For us, not.
Yeah.
So let's try to think of that. Just begin from the beginning, and the first thing for us, Liza, to discuss is, okay, what kind of insurance policies normally exist in general in Germany, and also, if I'm not mistaken, of course I'm not, there are some compulsory and there are some that you can choose. Well, what are the compulsory insurances here and why?
Yeah, well, the must-have is of course a public health insurance, and it's conducted directly from your gross salary. It's also retirement insurance, which is also conducted from your gross salary, as well as some supplements to the public health insurance. And also, I don't know how it's called in English, but if you some kind will lose your job, we hope not.
What might happen?
Yeah. So you may also have some support from the government. In German, it's called Arbeitslosenversicherung.
So the government will take care of you. I mean, hopefully it won't happen to any of us, but it might happen. That's why not just having this as kind of a protection for yourself. It actually also calms me down when I go to sleep. That's why, yes, it's a very good thing. And thank you, Liza, for this introduction about all those kind of insurances, because to be honest, I even didn't think about that. I mean, I am that kind of person because I think, okay, I have my salary and what I see, what I get, this is for me, this is my money. I mean, net income, that's fine. But normally, of course, I see all those thousands of lines. But in a way, I would say that, okay, here we are not going to discuss exactly these lines and whether we agree or disagree.
Because there are must-have. So
it is how it is.
Yeah, you cannot decide if you want to pay or not. You must.
You just live here, so you are fine with that. If you're not fine, so you either need to fight against it, which we are not going to do at the moment, or you need to live somewhere else. Okay, this is a public health insurance. And for you guys, if you don't know, there is this one, and it's a compulsory. So it's not possible for you to study, for example, without this one, because for me it was also kind of an obligation to have
student
this
one.
And then when you work, as far as I understand as well, so you work, you have to do this. But here you can also opt for something else, and this is, for example, a private health insurance. You can choose it, but it depends actually on your employee status or on your income. Do you know something about that? How much money do you need to make per year? So that
if I'm not mistaken, it is 70,000 gross income per year as an employee. And if you're an entrepreneur, I don't really know.
Maybe it's more complicated.
Yeah, it's a little bit more complicated, right? But if you're talking about like employment in the company, it's, if I'm not mistaken, like 69,000 or 70,000 euro gross per year.
And of course, there are some advantages and disadvantages, I think, in both of them, in this compulsory public health insurance and in private health insurance. However, we both will have the first one.
The public one.
That's why we are not going to also contemplate a lot about the second one. You need to have a special, let's say, income. You need to be lucky maybe nowadays.
Yeah.
But also, well, still, if you are lucky, if you have this special income, that is a kind of an obligation for you to have to get this insurance. Still, there are some things that might stop you. You always need, what we actually want to say, Liza and me here, please guys, always analyze, always think twice.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah, read everything twice, use ChatGPT, use
Any
another
possible
AI tools, yeah, to understand everything. And very important also, read carefully.
Small print?
Yes, stays in small print. It's very important. And yeah, if you have here any friends, relatives, or good colleagues, comrades in Germany, ask twice them for advice. Very important, yeah, to collect the experiences. And yeah, don't forget to listen to our podcast, because here
We have some useful tips,
yeah,
guys.
we have collected our experiences and yours as well.
And exactly what you said, just what you mentioned now, I mean, you have your circle, relatives, friends, connections. Let's just now probably slowly go to this thing. Why Germany is actually, as we say, okay, it's a little bit rude, obsessed with insurance policies. I mean, there are obviously some reasons for that. And
Yeah.
what is the difference here? What you've mentioned also as well, that we are a bit different, they are a bit different. It's very peculiar how, you know, culturally people can be different. This background, national things, maybe they also affect us in choosing whether to be insured or not.
I totally agree. And as we mentioned in one of our previous episodes, I believe that Germans tend to trust the system. They are really proud, which I personally find good. They are really proud of their social protection, social insurance system. If I may say, they grew up in this environment where they tend to trust the system and try to trust the insurance, because they know if something bad happen, the government, the social system will save me, will give an emergency help, some support and other stuff.
Well, as you might sense that I have this tone of voice that I'm not particularly, you know, I'm not all for these insurances, but I'm also not against. Maybe we will come to this later. I think it's just, it's not that someone is right or someone is wrong. It's like in every other situation that we've already discussed. I mean, I was in this atmosphere, I was in the country where we really, unfortunately, I believe, live like that. Okay, today is fine, tomorrow maybe not, but we will survive, or if not, yeah, life is life, what can I do, c'est la vie. But it's sadly so. For us, for example, as I always remember, my mom, and she says, when you have a credit, for example, for an apartment, and then you're going to pay it for a very long time, then it makes sense for you, for example, in our country, to insure your life. So then you don't need to care about anything, because if something bad happens to you, then your credit will be paid off by the government, I don't know, by the bank. But in this very situation, it's the only case maybe that I've heard from her, okay, this makes sense. Maybe we also, of course, have some public health insurance. In a way, it's a little bit different, but still, yes, the idea is the same. But I actually haven't heard so many other types of insurance policies, maybe also for car insurance.
It's a must-have in Germany, but in our countries as well. If you're a car owner, you should also buy car insurance and pay some taxes.
German, they prefer to plan, they also prefer to predict and to prevent, instead of then face some situation and feel sorry about not doing and have some regrets.
Yes, that's exactly the point, because as you have said, they try to predict something, and I think like Germany is a kind of country where many lifetime situation and the lifestyle is pretty predictable, I would say, and in our countries everything is so unpredictable, like even
every year, every day.
As you have said, like, okay, we live today, and I know that tomorrow should kind of be fine,
but
70%, but I'm not sure, and that's this unpredictable. So yeah, you don't really trust the insurance system, because even if some unpredictable happens, there is no guarantee that insurance will save you.
Yes,
that's the case.
That's why you prefer to be risky, not because you are just kind of such a brave person, but because life is like that, and you just get used used to it.
If you're not risky, you don't drink champagne.
Yes, as we say actually. Let's talk probably about the insurance policies that we consider to be, well, normal for us as for experts and to be reasonable. One of the insurances that we consider to be normal, adequate and reasonable is private liability insurance. What is this insurance about, Liza?
In German it's called private Haftpflichtversicherung, and this this insurance is about, like, in easy words, if you break something. For example, if I play tennis and I broke Daria's window, that's my responsibility. But if I have this insurance, the insurance will
cover.
Will cover the damage and buy a new window for Daria.
Or for example, if I take Liza's iPhone and then somehow it just falls down, then I won't be responsible for that because my insurance policy will cover this as well. You pay your fee, and then it's, if I'm not mistaken, it's yearly or monthly.
Yes, it depends on the tariff.
Okay.
For example, I pay once a year.
Yeah, I also do the same, but I forget about that because it's, I'm not an insurance kind of obsessed person. So, this is a good thing in a way because exactly, maybe you are just, traveling by bike. For example, it's your case, and then you just crash a new Porsche of someone else, and then you will be responsible. But in this case, as you pay your fee, so you are not. I mean, it makes sense, but at the same time, I wouldn't say that we really pretty often do something like this. But if you are that kind of person that, okay, I crash everything
if
all
you're
the
a
time.
little bit clumsy, sorry to say that, it's for you.
Maybe it's just the best way for you. But of course I would agree, okay, it's not a compulsory one, but it can be because it really does make some sense. It's not that expensive.
Yeah, it's not as expensive. I think it's like €60 per year.
Well, another health insurance that we also think of, okay, it's a good one. This is a household contents insurance.
I have these two ones because it was a must-have for renting my current apartment. In German it's called Haushaltsversicherung.
These complicated words.
If something in your apartment will be damaged, like an oven or a refrigerator, or oh God save, something will burn, like a kitchen or
fire or something.
Or for example, if you have a balcony and, if I'm not mistaken, like if the wind will damage your windows or some kind of furniture, the glass, this insurance will cover the damage.
And also, if I'm not mistaken, I've read about that. I don't have it personally. I hope it's okay. So it's against burglary, vandalism. Well, that kind of stuff actually happens here, believe you me. It's crazy that we live in this time, in Germany. I'm just pissed off, but it's fine.
Or if you will lose your key.
Or if you this one, yes, household contents insurance.
Yeah, it also covers. I mean, you can click if you want to cover it or no, because you may choose like a basic premium package. Of course, the premium one costs a little bit.
But for like premium people.
Yeah, it's a little bit expensive, but for example, my package covers the damage if I lose the household key, because if you lose, you need to contact your landlord, and then they need to change keys.
The locks.
Yes, locks in all the apartments.
Okay, and what you need to do, probably one of the pieces of advice that we can give, so you need to weigh whether, for example, the premium that you pay, the fee, whether it's not, that much that then it will outweigh what you get, so the benefit. So you need to think, okay, if there is such a risk for me, what kind of a risk tolerance we can face here? So is it important for me? Do I have enough money for that? What is with my income? So or either I paid like 1,000 times more and then I get nothing. Does it make sense, like to pay years long and then get like this? But the key thing is good one, because anything can happen.
Anything can happen.
Not everyone is afraid of this. This is the thing.
That's the point. Have you ever used this insurance?
Well, I have never used it.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah, and when we talk about apartment, there is even a special organization. And this is Daria.
This is actually, my pain. This is Tenant Protection Association. I mean, it's a crazy thing, guys, really. What changes you here, it's one of the things is this insurance system. And of course, I'm also a little bit different in comparison to Daria, who used to live in my country. even having been living here for 5 or 6 years seemed to me just fine to live without this association, and I thought, yeah, I probably don't need it. But somehow then later I faced some really crazy situation at my apartment, at my current apartment, and still I'm shocked with that, and still the problem hasn't been solved. But it's a good idea to be a part of this tenant protection association, because this association, just to inform you immediately, they are not going to take someone to court, so it's not in their jurisdiction. Unfortunately, as I found out it also lately, what you can do with this association, you can seek for advice, for some legal advice, so they know all these rent laws and tenant laws, so they can help you in some situation to clarify something, and also to send some emails. So it helps you to clarify some issues. But unfortunately, you need to pay lots of bills, and then somehow it seems to be unfair for you. So you see, no, something is wrong here.
Electricity, water, heating.
Yes, for all this
gas,
stuff.
all that stuff.
Exactly. Here in Germany, it's a little bit a crazy system for me, because you need to pay it for the previous year. For example, now I don't do anything, but then I just get post, and then I see how there, yes, you are obliged to pay this and this sums of money. And then you think, well, stop, please. Again, I'm not a Rockefeller daughter. Why am I supposed to pay this much? And then to clarify it all, it's not enough for you even to use ChatGPT, i.e. KI, as I say. Also, if you want to legally somehow find the solution in this situation, then you need to probably actually have another one, a legal insurance, I think.
Yeah, or a tenant protection insurance. It's called Mietschutzversicherung. And now we are going to the second part of the list, and this is the insurances we're not sure about. And we
not at all.
Yeah, and we will with the dental supplementary insurance, which is called in German zusätzliche Zahnschutzversicherung, if I'm not mistaken, for your teeth. Is Daria, why we're not sure about this?
I'm not sure about anything, but okay, why not about this? As I've read and as I've talked to some of my friends, I've asked my friend, hey Jonas, do you have any insurances, or what should I have? And he said to me, okay Daria, well, maybe there is this dental supplementary insurance, but you need to always be careful about this. You need to read the small print again, and not small print, everything, because you need to understand what is your problem and whether this insurance policy is going to really cover your expenses. Because maybe you have something, for example, as I've read also, implants can be covered, maybe something else. But if you have, for example,
some emergency
cases, or maybe some really higher dental work, so you need to be a normal, healthy person, to be a little bit of a premium person, then they can say to you, or if you have some pre-existing situation, so you've been suffering from something with your teeth, and then you say, oh yeah, this is the high time for me to actually have to pay some fee and have this insurance. And then they might say, they can be some detectives in a way, and they can say to you, hey, you've been already suffering from this, why should we cover it? And there is also one more thing, I think you know this as well, a waiting period. For example, so first you need to pay some time, maybe a year even, and only after this time, a waiting period,
you will get to cover some
you will get some benefit. As Liza always say, and I like it a lot, so it's pretty honest, sorry guys, that of course it's not about charity, it's about...
Insurance is about business.
It's everything else.
Even a public medical insurance here in Germany, it's not really like a public one, so it's also,
and doesn't cover everything.
And you may choose it's like a private company.
It's not a solution to everything.
It's also business.
You need to take care of your teeth, but sometimes it's probably better for you to pay from your own pocket and also to cover this cost, absorbed by your own, because it probably doesn't make sense, and then you will pay more instead of getting what you want.
So be aware and read the small print carefully.
Because the devil is always in the small print. Well, another policy insurance that also gives us, some doubts is, of course, maybe a bicycle one. Is just an example. It can be anything else. For example, Liza, she's an owner of a wonderful bicycle and she enjoys it a lot. But as I've read, and maybe you also would agree, so if a bicycle is not that expensive, if it's not an e-bike or just a really, really expensive premium bicycle, so probably it's not what you need to do to claim. Because, for example, something happens to your bike. but it's for example, it costs like 300 euros, but then you pay, I don't know, monthly 20 euros. So what happens then? It just it outweigh what you pay and what you can get for it.
Yeah, I don't have any
going to
insurance
steal
for my bicycle. Yeah, I mean, I have
just live in the moment.
Yeah, I have bought a very good lock, so I hope it will save me. Yeah, but
if not, still it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, I just my bicycle stays like in my apartment. Also under the lock, and never happens something bad for me or for other tenants. I think if you are not like riding a bicycle in some kind of, I don't know, like questionable neighborhood, so just leave it unlocked in just city center, whatever, I really don't think something bad will happen.
Even though I've heard that Frankfurt is a pretty criminal city, especially in terms of bicycles, but as we say, you need to understand, you need to think critically, do I need this, do I not need this? Another thing that we have to discuss here, in some insurance policies that we have some doubts about, it's legal expenses insurance. I mean, there are different tariffs, I believe. It's about work, something also about apartment, about different spheres
it's
of
like
life.
a basic legal support, let me say. Yeah, in everything. And here, it's a question whether you need it or not, to be honest. Like, for example, if you have an official employment contract, if you have an official renting contract, if you're not, for example, subletting an apartment yourself, I think it's not a must-have, especially if you have some good connections in Germany, if you have some locals or some expats that have been living here a little bit longer than you. Of course, if you have ChatGPT and other AI tools and you can Google and search for information, I think it's not a must-have.
Nowadays. And you need to be careful because there are some exclusions. I mean, exactly what it covers, what it doesn't cover. We don't have this. I think, we both don't have it. And we still kind of live normally without that, but who knows what will happen tomorrow. But, you know, we are a little bit of risky girls.
So, Daria, I think it's a very spicy topic, and we will be very excited if you guys will leave some comments and
give us some
stories,
feedback.
some feedback. And what I want to say more about insurance and insurance systems, try to estimate the risks. For example, if you have some problems with your teeth and you know that like from the childhood you have some teeth problems, it will definitely make sense to make a supplementary dental insurance.
Some other chronic diseases.
Or some other chronic diseases, exactly. If not, then maybe you can wait, and it's not a must-have right now. Also, be aware that insurances don't cover all the damage.
They don't reimburse everything. And what we also needed to say here, like a conclusion, the final thoughts from us. So please think what you need to insure, what you want to protect yourself against, what is important for you, why you need to do this. So you need to have some questions that you need to answer, and then price risks, calculate risks, and then think whether it's worth it or not, or seek for pieces of advice. Because here, we live in here, understand, even I like having a couple of German friends. I mean, they are also not, they don't have that many insurance policies. We know some people, even from our work, we love you, so that actually recommend us to have lots of insurances. But you need to understand also another drawback here, sorry, but objectively. For example, one insurance policy is fine, I pay for this. It's only 20 euros, I don't know, per month. But then you have this, you have that, you have 3, 5, 7, 10, and then please.
And also be aware that once a year they can increase the fees. As I have said, I have never used my
household
content insurance, and they still increase the fees, but they didn't increase the service.
Because you are dependent on them. So they see that you use it, they see that you need it, maybe according to your contract, to your renting contract, and then they try to also make more money on that.
And also be aware, if you use any insurance, I mean supplementary insurance, too much, they also can increase the fees.
Be aware of all the things. We try to
Yeah.
be, more careful. We started to live here and some things changed for us. I mean, globally or just generally stay the same, I think, originally. So you cannot change a person. We are just really grown-ups. But in general, of course, we are a little bit different, Daria and Liza, in comparison to Daria and Liza that used to live in our countries. Well, guys, this is exactly probably it about this topic. If you are interested, please send us your questions. We will try to answer them, or just comment. And of course, a question from us to you: what makes sense for you and what doesn't? And also, yes, what can you recommend to us? Maybe we forgot something. And this is, of course, traditionally some time for a fact. And another German fact that we've prepared for you is the following. Have you ever heard, that there is a rain tax in Germany? I mean, there are some, stereotypes, there are some rumors. People say, yeah, that's crazy. Of course, something like this exists, but it's not actually technically completely the truth. It's some storm water tax. Let's say that some property owners actually probably pay these taxes because what happens? When it's raining, water runs off sealed surfaces, for example, like roofs or driveways, and then the water that comes into a sewer system, well, they might charge for this water. Well, thank you guys very much for being with us. Thank you for listening to us.
Don't forget to take care about yourself at the first line, because you are responsible for your life, not the insurance system.
Yes, please subscribe, follow, write us your comments, give us some likes.
Life doesn't always celebrate us,
but we need to celebrate life.
We love you guys. We are very lucky to have such a great audience.
Thank
you
you.
Guys.
Bye.
Bye bye.
See you in 2 weeks.